The Uranium One scandal that revolves around Russia's successful attempts to buy a company that controlled a fifth of America's uranium is becoming obvious it's becoming evident that it is a major scandal in our political history, and its tentacles are very far-reaching and reach very high. As you know, Russia tried to buy Uranium One, a Canadian company that had acquired rights to the uranium mines in the United States, 20% of the uranium mines. And that sale was approved by a cabinet-level office headed by Hillary Clinton. But what is emerging now is the testimony that's going to be public in the next week or two of Douglas Campbell, who was an FBI agent who worked for the FBI for 6 or 7 years, investigating a broad effort by the Russians to control America's and the globe's uranium supply. The U.S. is not self-sufficient in uranium, and it met its uranium needs until 2013 because of a treaty that said that as we decommission nuclear weapons held by the Russians or by the satellite nations that were in the Soviet Union, as we decommission their nuclear weapons, that uranium would be extracted, sent to the United States, and would fuel our military and civilian uses. But in 2013, that treaty lapsed. So Putin went to work in 2008 and 2009 trying to corner the global supply of uranium. And central to this was the takeover of this company, Uranium One. The takeover had to be approved by a cabinet-level board, Committee on Foreign Investments in the U.S., headed by Hillary Clinton. And her approval of the deal was crucial in this going through. Now, Campbell had uncovered evidence in 2009, a year before the deal went through, that Russia was going all over the place, bribing companies and officials in the United States to get approval of this deal. And the speaking fee to Bill Clinton of $500,000 in 2010 for a speech in Moscow was part of that entire effort. And this became readily apparent to the FBI in 2009. But Mueller, Robert Mueller, the head of the FBI, now the special prosecutor investigating Trump, knew about it, but did not tell anyone about it, and the information stayed in the FBI. Now, had it gotten out and been publicized throughout the government, the Committee on Foreign Investments would have had to kill the uranium takeover, because the law says that if there's any evidence of these kinds of shenanigans, a deal like that cannot be approved. But instead, by hiding the deal, the uranium sale went through. And at the same time, Campbell is going to testify, and wrote that 6 other steps were taken by the Obama administration to open our uranium to Russian investment and Russian takeover. That was all part of the reset button that we were doing with Russia to try to end the Cold War. And during the misguided belief that we could get along great, they went along and approved that uranium deal. It is also interesting that Jeff Sessions, our Attorney General, and Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Attorney General, both said that there was no linkage in their testimony to Senate between the uranium bribery and the takeover of the uranium by Russia. And their grounds for that was that the bribery convictions were in 2013 and 14, and the uranium sale was in 2010. But now Campbell has introduced evidence to show that in 2009, before 2010 deal was approved, we knew about the Russian bribery efforts, and was reported up the FBI food chain and never reported to the rest of the government. It has also been inaccurately reported by Shepard Smith on Fox News, by Reuters, and by the Washington Post that no uranium obtained by Russia through this sale was ever exported. That's not true. Exportation was prohibited by the terms of the agreement, but the Russians exported anyway a quarter of the uranium they obtained. They did it by putting it on a truck that went to Canada, and then from Canada it went to Europe and to Asia. We do not know yet which countries received it, but it's possible that Iran or even North Korea was on that list. In any case, when Fox News and Smith both said on the news that there was no export, they were not telling the truth. Whether they knew the truth or didn't know the truth, one doesn't know. But clearly the uranium was exported in violation of American law. These are very serious charges and a very serious episode, not just in Hillary's career, but in the whole United States history. And we're talking here about bribery. We're talking about over $100 million given to the Clinton Foundation, probably as part of this bribery plot, $500,000 paid in a personal speaking fee to a former president of the United States. And this may involve bribery, extortion, and perhaps even treason. If you're looking for a really good Christmas present, our book, Rogue Spooks, would certainly fill the bill. In it, which we wrote back in the summer or the spring of this year, we document everything that we've learned since about the role of the intelligence community, the FBI, and the Clinton people in the effort to frame Donald Trump and prosecute him for something that never happened, coordination between Russia and the Trump campaign. We explain how it came about, how the dossier started, why the dossier is totally flawed, what the objective of the intelligence establishment, the deep state, was in fomenting this entire crisis, why Trump has had great difficulty getting rid of the people who are promoting this crisis and prosecuting those who've leaked in it. And it also explains how the CIA went from being the bastion of right-wing conservatism to being the ultimate leftist organization, and how the FBI went through a very similar journey, a complete remake under Obama. And then we explain how after Trump was elected, the FBI and the CIA liberals kept their jobs. Many transformed to civil service jobs in order that they could not be fired by Trump, and through leaking and lying could help oust him from office. So it's a good book. Get a hold of it. It's one of those few books that was written 6 months ago, which half of which has come true, and the other half is about to come true.